Broads Media.
Do you know what we call that in the streets? An ass kicking. An ass kicking in the Boston Garden. Which part of the game was your favorite? Let's play that game. What did you admire the most? 6 threes from Tyrese Maxey? 30 points? The silencer after Danuel House's pass to him on the wing? How about Embiid? The mid-range jumper, the two-man game with James Harden? The blocks defensively? Al Horford missing every single damn three because that's really who he is? Oh, let's also point out that he can get abused defensively. Wow. I knew that the Boston Celtics were scared the moment I saw Malcolm Brogdon's quote prior to the game. It's a must win. It's a must win. It's a desperation mindset for us tonight. There's frustration and anger letting go games we should have won. Let me summarize for you. There's so much pressure on the Celtics back at home, Game 5, because they feel that they shouldn't even be in this position. But the problem is, I think their leadership, not just Joe Mazzulla, but Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the leadership from their stars, it's weak. Al Horford can only carry you and your locker room so far from a veteran standpoint. Like P.J. Tucker, there's no doubt in my mind that his handprint was all over their mentality. And going to Joel Embiid's face in Game 4, keeping up that level of voice and how much that matters to this team, it's massive. But if Joel Embiid doesn't dominate or if James Harden doesn't bring it, that only goes to a certain distance. The Celtics are never going to succeed with Jason Tatum starting off the game missing basically every shot. Oh, whoop-de-damn-do, he scores over 30 points. He took 27 shots for his 36. I don't like the way that he has played. Credit Tobias Harris. Credit a lot of the way that they brought the attitude defensively. For this team to deal with foul trouble. Going to D'Anthony Melton, House off the bench. In Game 4, you had to go full desperation mode, basically, and play your starters so much. Paul Reed got 6 minutes. It was truly a 7-man rotation, not even an 8-man rotation. And you threw George Niang out there for a decent amount of time. Look at what happens when Embiid, Harris, they're not playing 47, 46 minutes. Granted, that game went to overtime, but the reason why Al Horford looked as solid as he did in the fourth quarter against Embiid in Game 4 is because the guy was off for over 2 weeks with an LCL issue, and his body wasn't up to speed. Of course he's out of shape at the end of the game. Of course he's tired. If you can grab minutes elsewhere to take some of the pressure off the starters, it goes a long way. And the execution was beautiful. Every time the Celtics made a run, 1, Doc Rivers had an awesome timeout to stop the bleeding, and 2, the Sixers then brought it offensively. I didn't see Maxey doing this. Full disclosure, all day today on the best show ever, we were trying to find who the Lonnie Walker would be because Lonnie Walker had double-digit points for the Lakers down the stretch, and who the hell would have thought that would happen? We were wondering, who would it be for the Sixers to have that type of game? And I thought maybe D'Anthony Melton because we watched him do it without Joel Embiid in Game 1, and sometimes he's been able to do that for you throughout the regular season. It was a nice steal that he got a nice easy two-pointer. I think Maxey got the ball after the steal, poked it from behind, and then bang. D'Anthony Melton was able to finish for an easy pair on the other side. But no, it wasn't necessarily him. It was Maxey. It was House. It was honestly a full-on team effort. That's not to say D'Anthony Melton wasn't an impact in this game. I'm just saying more along the lines of a guy that you don't really expect, and then he gives you 12 points out of nowhere. That's sort of what Lonnie Walker did. I guess that was House, but it was also Maxey. I didn't know if he could do that in this series. I'm not projecting long-term in his career. I'm saying now. I thought he needed this pain. And he did go through some growing pains. But there was a two-man game action ran between him and Embiid. They're making crazy plays. Embiid's throwing it over his head. Maxey gets a wide-open paint. He drives. He finishes. He's been all out of control with his body in this series. He attacks the paint. There's a lot of bodies in the paint. He's throwing it up off the window. Crazy up and unders that he's trying. Hits the rim. Not even close. It's the back of the rim, saying the bottom of the rim. The ball goes out of bounds. He's been out of control. The game sped up for him massively. But he clearly learned and figured something out. And that confidence was game-changing. The team fed off of how he was silencing the crowd and felt good about the shots that he was taking. This team is a different layer. It has a different layer. When Tyrese Maxey is able to shoot the basketball like that and feel good about his game and feel like he's an important part to the success. Tobias, before the foul trouble, making buckets. Everyone. Full team effort, including the head coach, Doc Rivers. I tried telling y'all, he's not a bad coach. He's a damn good coach. He had this team ready to play from the jump. They looked good. Maxey scoring early, Embiid and Harden. Harden had 2 stinkers and 2 out-of-this-world efforts. It's hard to ask him to score 40 every night, but we've seen the worst. We've seen the best. What's just a normal, solid game going to look like? And what will some of the role players do whenever that is the case? Because clearly you're going to have to make up the difference from, let's say, if Harden posted 22 points, instead of scoring 45, where do you make up the rest of those? Considering, yes, he'd be distributing the basketball to a lot of his teammates for some open looks. But will you make those shots? Because I've seen this team have wide open shots in massive points and in massive spots in a game, but just miss. Flat out hit the iron, long shot, or short, fatigue settles in. You don't have your legs for your jumper. But that wasn't the case for Embiid. Let's say he had a sloppy possession and the ball's turned over. He's getting back and swatting you. Just watch sometimes when they dribble drive. Or if they get an offensive rebound, they're right by the paint. They want to go back up with it, but they know here's Joel Embiid. He's not too far away. He's a couple inches away. Good luck. Now the entire possession changes. There's been something off about this Celtics team all year. They don't have that kill. The chemistry, it's not fully locked in. And PJ is a huge reason why the Sixers seem to have it all together. The way he handles this team is magnificent. There was a lot of boiled frustration about the regular season PJ. I just want to make sure it's on display now. Not that I'm worried about the long term, but I'm already preparing myself for the future of PJ Tucker with the contract he has. Remember these moments. Remember this time of the season. I'm telling you that I would bet my life on it and my entire savings. Hopefully my wife is sleeping and doesn't hear me, but I'm that confident in the next statement I am going to make. This team was led by PJ Tucker and a certain message before taking the floor at the TD Garden. And damn it, I think the same approach is going to be said heading into Game 6 at home. Because we can't let this take over all of our feelings. Job's not done. Job's not finished. They don't have 4 wins. The Celtics have a lot of talent. It's not going to be easy to put them away. I think they're cracking. You have to play like you did today. If you play like you did today, you can take the Celtics down at home. The reason I bring it up, though, is the jugular. The Celtics won't go down without a fight. Even though I think they have holes and they're not a perfect fit right now, I still expect them to show life. And if they don't, then man, they are even more broken than I anticipated. It's for the taking. It's legitimately a real concept that the Celtics, they had a 5-point lead with 2 minutes to go after not deserving to win the game at all in Game 4, and they blew it. They had a lead with 38, 36 seconds to go in overtime. Forget which one. 8 and 6 look alike. Jaylen Brown, ironically, the one who called out Joe Mazzulla publicly and Malcolm Brogdon after Game 1 for not liking some of the decisions on how to defend James Harden. They claimed, this guy has seen a lot of coverage. We can't be doing what we're doing, throwing extra help his way. We have to play this differently. So they were pissed off with themselves for losing a game this series without Joel Embiid. Nuts. Still even hard to fathom. But it's ironic that Jaylen Brown made those comments, and then he was the one who put his hand up during his availability after Game 4 and said that was my fault. I did that. I made that decision to try and double Joel. You can't leave James Harden in the corner. That pass was outrageous. If you watch the slow-mo and you go back to the film, the angle that Jaylen Brown came from and where James Harden was, it was a great reception, if you will, from James Harden to catch it and then bring it into his body. But for Joel Embiid to even have the presence of mind to change his angle, to get the pass in the direction of James, to even give him an opportunity to snag it. This guy's different. This dude's locked in. I had to deal with hearing Charles Barkley on John Clark's podcast say, we need Joel to show up. Oh, hold on a second, dude. We look at Joel's 34-point effort as a bad game. That's where the bar is for Joel. He's been here. He's also dealing with an injury, brace or not. This guy fights through everything. We just ho-hum sometimes forget that he had so many surgeries last season. Imagine trying to play basketball in the NBA playoffs with you being the focus of the other team, so they definitely want to kill you in basketball terms. And you don't have fingers. Let that sink in. That's what he dealt with. And now he's 7 foot, issues with the LCL. Nah, just in rhythm, I'm going to hit this mid-range jumper in your face. It cracks me up that Joe Mazzulla stared at Al Horford against Joel Embiid and thought, let's just watch this happen over and over again. Let's watch him make this bucket nonstop. It's a layup for him. You want to go with that method? Okay, I'll show you how it goes. A little something like this. Bent over. Boo! Boo! Those Boston Celtics fans. Let them hear it. But going back to what 6 is going to be like, you didn't finish anything yet. You put yourself in a great spot. But if you don't attack Game 6 the same way you just did tonight, I'm just saying, even though I wouldn't be afraid of a Game 7 after what I saw today. There's a reason why the Boston Celtics have the home record that they do in the postseason over the last 14, 15 games or so. It was 6-8 at one point in this series. I don't remember how many home games they've played since then, but you could do the math if you really wanted to. 6-8 in 14 playoff games in their own building. I don't want it to get to 7. Do it, though. Do it in 6. Do it in 6. I'm not afraid of 7, but do it in 6. I need for them to show up just like they started tonight. Because there was something about the way they were playing stylistically with confidence that if you were a Sixers fan, it literally sounded like it was going to be a great game. They set a tone from tip-off. And it was passing the smell test throughout the first quarter, the second quarter. Did Doc try and grab a few more minutes from bench pieces? Yes. Is there a correlation with maybe how the game ended in the previous game with Joel having nothing left? If you watch some of his jump shots then, he wasn't even elevating. He was still on the ground. That's how much he was done. So, of course, Al Horford had an advantage and could swat him and make strong plays. Embiid was unfortunately useless because his endurance isn't where it needs to be with him not playing 2 weeks before getting back to the court. All of this amazes me when you take in the outside stories with Joel. You can go far when your superstars play this incredible. And I didn't know where Doc was going to go with the bench today. He made it seem like it would be very similar to the last game. He's going to ride his starters. The great thing is, once he put in some bench players, and there was foul trouble, so once some fouls started to get picked up, you pretty much automatically have to look down the bench. But there was that video, I believe Keith Pompey had it, stating that Dedmon went to the court super early, 45 minutes before he normally does, or went to the court to take some shots for 45 minutes, or one of the two. And I'm thinking, well, the only reason why he's doing that is maybe Doc Rivers gave him a phone call late last night in the hotel saying, be ready. I don't know if I'm going to go to you, but be ready. Because remember, Paul Reed played 6 minutes in his last effort. So was Doc preparing some end-of-the-bench guys just in case? And Dedmon would have been his move over small ball Tucker at 5, over Paul Reed, and over Montrezl Harrell? Just be ready. I don't know why else he'd be getting shots other than he was bored and he hasn't played in so damn long. He just wanted to envision what it would be like if the place was packed, and he was probably pretending it was 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. Really, 7:40 p.m. is when they throw the ball up in the air. ESPN's way worse than TNT in that department. They stretch it out a bit differently. But I'll tell you what, Malcolm Brogdon's comments showed me a sign of desperation, and I even feel the same way with Pritchard getting in the game. Excuse me? You're going to who? Yeah. You don't have a chance. You don't have a shot. You're going to Pritchard? Try and change something up? That's when you have no answers left. Doc going to House didn't mean he didn't have any answers left. I thought that was a methodical attempt. You figured at some point McDaniels, House, you could try something, in theory, because of size and length. McDaniels just failed every time Doc went to him. But it made sense to use them. Pritchard, the only reason why it makes sense is because your ass is getting smacked around. Smacked around. We haven't seen a Sixers team win like that in this type of moment in the Joel Embiid era. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm so proud of Tyrese Maxey because he did something today that could change the ceiling of this team. And I was only worried about Tyrese Maxey against the Boston Celtics. Miami, Brooklyn Nets. I'm all in, man. I am a Maxey stan. But I didn't see anything to give me an indication that Tyrese Maxey is going to hit 6 threes and hit a huge silencer. So TD fans who really stood up trying to embrace a run and get the team feeling a spark, sat down within seconds. Seconds. Great ball movement. And Maxey's wide open. It was beautiful to see Al Horford suck at shooting like he does. I don't care about his 3-point percent. Look at the 3-point man. Shut up. Al Horford's a bum. And Reggie Miller, awful job on the broadcast. Could he be actively rooting for the Celtics to come back? Wait for the barrage of threes. Oh, they're going to start making their shots at some point. They always knock down a lot of threes. No, they take a lot of threes. They shoot in high volume. But if they're not finding the basket, they're in trouble. They absolutely showed me a new high with Maxey and Tobias. Tobias has been great defensively in this series. Played 47 minutes last game. 47 minutes. When he gets ripped apart, nobody gives him the right assessments, ever. He'll miss layups. He's frustrating at times. But playing 47 minutes in an NBA playoff game that went into overtime, and by the way, you're guarding their best player. I've been on that train before the series began. And I go, oh, bro, what are you, just giving him Ben Simmons treatment? You're just okay with him playing defense? You don't have to worry about any offense? No, that's not necessarily what I'm saying. Embiid and Harden carry the way, but Tobias, 6 field goals wasn't enough when he went through the game where he only had 6 field goal attempts. Not enough. But he's also a rotating piece in the starting lineup. And what I mean is, you know what Harden has to be every game. You know what Embiid needs to be every game. Sometimes it's Maxey. Sometimes it's Niang. Sometimes it's others who take that role of the third spot. Yes, you pay Tobias Harris a max contract. He's not that. So take the financial side out of this. Tobias on some days is the 3, some days is the 4 hell, some days it's the 5. Anyone but PJ Tucker. PJ's normally falling in that last option mode. But Tobias, let's not overlook the fact that you have somebody who can cause problems to the other team's best player. I actually think Jaylen Brown's the best player. But whatever. Jason Tatum, the noise isn't loud enough on how much he's been ugly this series. He'll be non-existent for the first 8 shots of the game. And then he'll pour in some second half stuff. And now it's like, oh, Tatum showed up. I would want Tatum on my franchise here. I'm not saying the Celtics need to trade. I'm not going to this crazy level. But I'm just saying, have you heard the discussions on Jason Tatum sucking in really big portions of this series? Now, maybe they have. Maybe Stephen A. I don't watch First Take. I don't watch that garbage. So maybe they do. But I'm not hearing it. Normally, I stumble upon stuff like that. But all right, I talked more than I normally do before taking phone calls, but there's a lot on my mind, which is a scary thing, by the way. Did I even mention what I would bet my mortgage on? I don't even know if I fully finished that thought. This is what happens after a game like this. You think I can absorb it all and not have it bounce around the walls in my head? Stop it, of course. If I didn't, it's PJ forced the team to play with this style and attack. And I think he'll do it again for Game 6. See, I remember saying that. I think. Oh, man, this is getting ugly. All right, remember, before we take our first call, Malcolm Brogdon said, it's a must-win. It's a must-win. It's desperation mindset for us tonight. There's frustration and anger at letting go games we should have won. Before the game even started, the Celtics were calling this must-win because they are afraid. They weren't mentally prepared to be at 2-2, and they crumbled. It's not over, but adding up what I saw in this one, they crumbled. And that's how they went into the game. Tense, nervous energy. Felt like the pressure was on them. 7.5 point favorite. Uh-oh. Looks like the MVP showed you exactly why Jokic gets embarrassed in the paint, and the matchup isn't even close on that end. Oh my God. Joel Embiid is one of the greatest defenders I've ever seen for his size. What he does when he jumps at a pump fake and then they pass the ball and then he goes up and blocks on the second hop that big with a knee problem? Okay. Yeah, that's normal. What? Oh, man. All right. Let's rock your call, shall we?
Wow, bro. It feels like a parallel universe. We got one more game, but wow. Blowing out Boston in Boston. Finally, just one more. Just need one more. Oh, my God. I actually don't know what it feels like to see this team go past the second round.
Well, start believing. Start believing. I took a Twitter poll pulse. That's right, a Twitter poll pulse. And I'm going to scroll to it. My question was, this was 3 days ago. This series was 2-1 Boston. So they played 3 games. One without Embiid and one. Embiid then came back. Wasn't so pretty. Then they lost game 3. They were down 2-1. Just doing a pulse check. Are you giving up on the Sixers? 1,022 votes. This is how you know it's a good poll. 50-50. Yes, no. This team's over. They can't play. It's the same thing every year. Whoa. I can't guarantee that we'll be satisfied with every possession. The Celtics seem to be, on paper, they're not playing this way, but the better overall team. Deeper, more reliable guys, a Derek White, a Malcolm Brogdon, a Grant Williams. Like, there's pieces there that the Sixers don't have. You went 7 deep in the last game. 7 deep, really. Paul Reed for 6 minutes. Whew. I mean, 6 minutes is a lot in NBA playoff mode, but it's not a lot at the same time. But the ceiling of the stars for your Sixers is higher. So you see what happens when they're all rocking. They're unbelievable. And they're hard to slow down. And even at times, it gets rough for you to run your offense because their defense really swarmed you and made it Hard, no doubt.
Bro, I don't even know what to say right now. I mean, how many of us had money on a Daniel House performance tonight? Because if you had money on that, you just hit big. This game was incredible from start to finish. The last few minutes got me a little nervous, but that's just because I'm a Sixers fan, Philadelphia fan in general. Very much looking forward to seeing your deep dive into this game, but cannot wait for Thursday.
I can't wait either. I wasn't too worried towards the end. I actually thought they had it in the bag. They just had to deal with something that's irritated. There wasn't enough time for it to actually be lost, even though we have seen big leads blown before. There was a different feeling to this one, but it's awesome to see just wire to wire, no joke, the Sixers had this basketball game. I know the Celtics made shots, but that's obviously going to happen. Calling timeout and then responding to counter. They never really got back. What, the 9 points that it was at half? Did you want it to be more? Okay. I mean, it's another game that's happened. You thought maybe it would be a 13, 14-point lead at half. Instead, it's single digits. Not ideal. But just the way that they were handling themselves, their body language reeked of greatness. We're not losing. We are not losing this game. Remember when Boston did this to you? All the loose balls, they were working that much harder. They're grabbing an offensive rebound, keeping possessions alive, getting extra shots, jacking up threes, but actually making them too. Good ball movement. Well, this was the other side of that. Everything looked like the Sixers had an extra step in every area of the game. They never let their guard down. That's a sign of a team that's ready to win. All right, I apologize for going a little extra long myself and not getting to as many calls as normal, but that's just how it went today. Wow. That's it. That's what I want to say to you. Wow. To summarize, wow. Thank you guys all so much. Catch you on the next one.